morning, Year 11. Welcome to Wednesday's lesson, halfway through the week, almost at the weekend, not long to go now. Please could you write down the date and title and underline them in your books, please, and then we will crack on with the lesson. Thank you. So, by the end of the lesson today, you will analyse how writers make language choices, and you will begin to annotate an extract with what is needed to answer Paper 2, Question 3. Today you'll be working a little more independently. So we're going to dive straight into question 3 without any question 1s or question 2 warm-ups, because I want to give you more time in the lesson today to work independently of me. So the question today is, how does James use language to describe the Australian spiders? Please do not switch off your screens now if you have a terrible spider phobia. There are absolutely no images of spiders on this PowerPoint. You have nothing to fear. So, as usual, key vocabulary for the extract. Some quite challenging vocab here today. For example, missile silo. I had no idea what that was. I'm impressed if you did know. Please pause the video and write down this vocabulary now. So, I have deliberately provided you with some images so that you can visualise what these words are showing you, because they're used to great effect in the extract on the next slide to describe the behaviour of the spiders. So, missile silo is actually this little area here underground where you store a rocket which then zooms up into the sky and is launched. So, it's this area here which looks a bit like a giant trap door. And a squadron is a group of military aeroplanes that fly in the sky like this. So again, if you need to rewind and look back at these images, it might be helpful after you've read the extract to understand the behaviour of the spiders. So the question is, to remind you, how does Clive James use language to express his feelings about Australian spiders? Please could you read the question and extract carefully? Think about how language is used, and then try to identify a semantic field. I've given you 10 minutes, hopefully you won't need that much time though. Have a read through and spend a few minutes trying to identify the semantic field. Write it down if you think you know what it might be. Pause the video now. Okie dokes. These are the words that stood out to me that I thought could be used as part of a semantic field. Lethal, imperil, missile silo, savage and squadrons. What would you say this semantic field is? Violence? War? You decide. Being able to spot a pattern in the extract gets you some higher marks. If there is no discernible or obvious pattern, don't try and invent one. There will not be one there and you will not get marks for it. If you can see a pattern occurring in the exam though, do refer to it. But you must also talk about the effect. We'll come on to that later. So your task for the lesson today, you need to choose 4 quotations that help you understand Clive James's feelings about the spiders. So you'll need to return to the previous slide in a moment, reverse, rewind. You need to keep the quotes short. Make sure they actually answer the question focus about his feelings. Choose juicy quotes that you can really say a lot about. Analyse your quotes in your book. You can do a brainstorm or bullet points as you've seen me do in previous lessons. Think of why the writer chose a particular word to really support you with your brainstorm. For example, why describe the spiders as flying squadrons, which looks like this? So imagine spiders flying at you, rather than flying ninjas, for example. Think of the connotations of a squadron. What's that suggest about the spiders? Think about ninjas, they usually work alone. So why would he use squadron instead? Is there a technique in your chosen quote? If there is, please explain the effect. Obviously, I can't give you the marks. And then you're going to write up your analysis in a PEAT paragraph or a PEAT-A. So the analysis should go instead of the effect. Right, you're going to have to take command now and you're going to go backwards and forwards. If you feel you need a little bit more help, never fear, I'm always here for you. Here's an example of what I've written for one of the quotations. So if you feel like you've got this, you feel very confident, you can pause now and reverse or rewind back to the extract and select your quotes and follow the instructions you just saw on the previous slide. If you want to hang around for a moment and just hear a bit more explanation and need some help, stay on this page. So here, I've selected this quotation. The spiders are ready to sink its jaw into anything that breathes. I chose this quote because I would regard it as juicy. I think there's lots you can pull out of the language he's used here. So first I chose its jaw. He refers to its jaw rather than its teeth to imply its bite will cause severe, which means serious, damage. It brings to mind images of an animal tearing into its prey rather than a small spider biting you. It makes the spider sound monstrous and even more threatening. Because he could have just said ready to sink its teeth, but in that case it sounds a little smaller and easier to squash. Its jaw, though, to my mind, brings to my vision pictures of like an animal, a real predator tearing into meat. Then I chose anything that breathes. This could be hyperbole, so exaggeration, or it could be factual. We don't really know how aggressive these spiders are, and this ambiguity, this unknown element, is concerning, as it makes the spider sound merciless and extremely predatory. It suggests that nothing is safe around this creature. It is fearless and will attack even animals larger than it. I've made this inference about the fact it will attack animals larger than it because anything that breathes it will attack. And we also heard about the lady who was batting them away with a broom, and though a lot of us are frightened of spiders, we are a hell of a lot bigger than them, and yet we fear them. So we know full well that in Australia they're not afraid to attack creatures bigger than them. Anything that breathes makes the spiders sound keen to kill, like a savage murderer, desperate to take and destroy life. So, ladies and gents, please go back, select your own quotations. Try to do 4, but if you think time might run out, try and do 2 or 3 really well, rather than 4 but not particularly well. Then you're going to write it up into the peak paragraph, and you'll be finished. Please pause your video now so you can take control of the lesson. Thank you. Now, if anybody required some help with the model Pete, here you go. Here is my example. James gives a distinct, clear impression that the Australian spiders are bloodthirsty, dangerous predators. The spiders will sink their jaw into anything that breathes. The noun jaw is interesting because I've selected a key word, but I have remembered to say what word type it is. That's subject terminology. Perhaps he refers to its jaws and you've just heard me read this. I'm not going to read it again. You should be creating your own now. And the lesson is complete. Well done, everybody, for another lesson. We're almost at the weekend. Like I said, you're working really hard. Every single day is getting you further up that mountain. Keep persevering. You'll have the longest summer you'll ever have in your life after these GCSEs, where hopefully you'll be out of lockdown and you'll be able to enjoy yourselves. Feel that you have deserved it and done everything you can. There's nothing worse than a feeling of regret. Well done, everybody. Have a lovely Wednesday. See you tomorrow.